world looks the same at first. The sky above, the ground beneath, but something feels off. Your shirt hangs differently. The air feels heavier. The chair seems taller. You glance at your hand. It's smaller, only by a fraction, a single centimeter. Then another second passes. Another centimeter gone. You are shrinking. 1 centimeter every second, and nothing can stop it. At first, it's barely noticeable, but within a minute, you've lost over half a meter in height in 5 minutes, more than the length of your arm. Your perspective changes. Literally, the world doesn't shrink with you. You shrink inside it. This is not magic. This is physics. Biology and terror colliding. So what would happen if you started shrinking 1 centimeter every second? Let's find out. At the 30-second mark, your world begins to distort. The ground, once flat and familiar, rises up like a textured landscape. The fibers of your carpet look like towering grass. Dust particles drift by, visible now, each one a grain in your new desert. At first, your brain can handle it. Your inner ear adjusts, but soon, your body begins to panic. Your center of gravity shifts, your vision struggles to focus, and even breathing starts to change. The space between air molecules doesn't shrink with you. To you, the air becomes thicker, almost syrupy. Every breath becomes laborious. At the 10-second mark, you've lost 10 centimeters. That's nearly the length of your hand. Your clothes hang loose. Your shoes slip off. You feel lighter, not just metaphorically. Your mass is decreasing at an exponential rate. The laws of physics dictate that your density might remain constant, but your volume, your physical presence is vanishing. Now, imagine the molecules that make up your body, each one a stable structure bound by atomic forces. But if you are shrinking continuously, something deeper must be happening. Either the space between atoms is compressing, or the atoms themselves are being reduced in size. If it's the former, you'd collapse into yourself. The forces inside your body would crush you long before you reach the size of a tennis ball. If it's the latter, if your atoms are shrinking. 2, then the entire universe around you is effectively expanding, while you diminish into quantum obscurity. By the 30-second mark, you're about half your normal height. Every sound deepens, slows. Voices thunder above like distant storms. Your hearing, evolved for your original size, begins to distort. The wavelengths of sound waves now behave differently against your smaller ears. And gravity, it doesn't scale neatly. Your weight falls exponentially, your ability to jump increases. Soon, a single step sends you leaping meters into the air. But with each second, your strength fades. Muscles don't scale proportionally with size. You become delicate. A fall that once meant nothing could now shatter your bones. After 1 minute, you're just 60 centimeters tall. The world is enormous. A chair becomes a wall, a table, an impossible cliff, and a human, still full-sized, looks down like a titan. You yell for help, but your voice is thin, high-pitched like a mosquito's whine. No one hears you. If the shrinking continues, the pace becomes catastrophic. After 2 minutes, you're the size of a pencil. After 3, the size of an ant. You've entered the microscopic realm. The air itself is no longer your ally. Molecules of nitrogen and oxygen, once invisible, become massive. Chaotic boulders colliding in a constant storm. Each movement of air is a hurricane. Each step, a struggle against friction and drag you were never meant to endure. Light behaves differently now. Visible wavelengths become longer than your own body. Your world grows darker, blurrier, distorted by diffraction and scattering. Soon, your blood cells are the size of planets to you. Your body becomes a universe of its own, a vast ocean of molecular architecture you can no longer comprehend. Let's pause for a moment. What would allow such shrinking to happen? In our world, size is not just about space, it's about energy. Atoms are mostly empty space. If you could somehow remove that emptiness, you could theoretically compress matter, but the energy cost would be unimaginable. To shrink a single human by even 1% in volume would require more energy than the world consumes in a day. To do it continuously, 1 centimeter per second would defy the very structure of the universe. Yet let's keep going. By the time you reach the size of a grain of sand, biology no longer works the way you remember. Your lungs can't exchange oxygen. Air molecules are too large to breathe. Your blood clogs with viscosity. Your cells can't function under the changing pressures. Your metabolism collapses. But let's imagine, for the sake of this thought experiment, that somehow, impossibly, you keep surviving. You fall below the millimeter mark. Now you're smaller than the head of a pin. Bacteria loom over you like skyscrapers. The microscopic world becomes your landscape. Water, once fluid, now feels like gelatin. Surface tension acts as an invisible cage. A single droplet becomes an impenetrable sphere. Even light bends and refracts in strange ways, casting shimmering halos around every molecule. You can see the fine structure of matter now. Atoms dancing, vibrating, colliding. Reality itself appears alive. The rules of classical physics dissolve, replaced by the eerie rhythms of the quantum world. You approach the nanoscale, 1/1000th of a meter. You are smaller than the wavelength of visible light. To the human eye, you vanish completely. Now atoms are enormous celestial bodies around you, each nucleus a blazing sun surrounded by clouds of electrons. You drift through this strange cosmos of probability and motion. There is no solid ground anymore, just waves, fields, and uncertainty. This is the edge of the quantum domain. You are no longer a person in any recognizable sense. You are a pattern of energy, flickering between existence and disappearance. If you continue to shrink, you approach the scale of fundamental particles, quarks, leptons, neutrinos, each a fragment of the universe's deepest machinery, each obeying laws that have no parallel in the human world. You might pass through atoms as though they're empty space, because, in truth, they mostly are. At this size, time itself becomes distorted. Quantum fluctuations dominate. You no longer perceive moments as sequential. Reality breaks into probabilities. But let's rewind to before you disappeared completely and ask a different question. Why would this happen? What could make a human being shrink continuously beyond control? There are three possibilities: a breakdown of molecular forces, a collapse of space-time around you, or an external manipulation of matter at the atomic level, something like a sudden, universal compression field. In theory, if space itself contracted at different scales, your atoms might be pulled closer together without increasing mass. That would be catastrophic not just for you, but for everything. Matter would lose its stability. Stars, planets, and galaxies would disintegrate. The entire universe could collapse into quantum foam. But on Earth, in human terms, the effects would be immediate and horrifying. If every human began shrinking at 1 centimeters per second, cities would crumble into chaos within minutes. Machines would malfunction as operators disappeared into invisibility. Transportation systems would collapse. Air traffic. Controllers vanish mid-sentence. Pilots, too small to reach the controls. Doctors too small to hold a scalpel. Society would vanish faster than it could react. Within half an hour, no trace of civilization would remain. Every human being would have shrunk beyond the atomic scale, beyond the reach of any detection. But let's not end with annihilation. Let's think about scale, because this thought experiment isn't just about shrinking, it's about perspective. Our size defines how we experience the universe. At 2 meters tall, we see a world of cities and oceans. At 1 millimeter, we see a jungle of microscopic life. At the quantum scale, we see the pulse of existence itself. Every layer of size reveals a different version of reality. If we could truly move between them, our understanding of everything from life to time would change forever. Perhaps the universe itself is like this. Layered, infinitely nested, each level unaware of the scales above or below it. If that's true, then maybe somewhere, deep in the subatomic realms, there are civilizations that think we are the giants. So what if, instead of shrinking, the universe around us began to grow,